So next time I'll moon you,
What's
and
that supposed to
that'll
be?
mean bottom.
There's not going to be a race vlog on this account this week. On the checked out account, there will be a race vlog of Josh and his car. It's his new motor in it. So I hope you guys enjoy this recap video of Brownstown, and hope you guys enjoy.
So welcome to Checked Out Racing.
Yep.
We're gonna recap our weekend,
Well, our Saturday.
our Saturday. Yeah. Well, we're enjoying the rest of the weekend.
That's right.
Our 3-day weekend. So.
Sit here and do our little bonfire talk. Well, the rest of our crew is either racing or visiting with family.
Yeah. So we did an oddball thing this week. Josh took the week off again. We're still working on his surprise. We decided to not go with our regular group, and we went to a different track this past Saturday. We went to Fayette County Speedway in Brownstown, Illinois. Try our luck with the Mars boys, mainly for testing session. To be honest with you, I didn't expect to go and run at the top anyways. But we had a very good night, I felt like.
You were happy with the car, so that was my main goal, was get you comfortable in that setup and a little looser feel than your normal too.
Well, I actually...
You said it was tight, though.
It was tight. So we went out for hot laps, and you can't judge anything off hot laps. And then we had to qualify. We got 3 laps for qualifying, and the car was definitely tight for that. So we made an adjustment, and I just absolutely fell in love with the car. I just think a few more laps, get my confidence up. I'm still not there with being 100% with driving in wide open on the throttle yet, and that's just me right now. The car was more than capable of handling it last night. It was turning good with the adjustments we made. So I can't be any more happier than what that was. And we got minimal damage this week.
Minimal, yeah. You didn't have nowhere to go with the bumper, but...
No, I just had a guy spin out in front of me, about 3 feet from me, and there's nowhere to go. So.
Well, the right rear I knew was coming. You slid up a little bit in front of the leader.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did they show you the flag?
I don't. I'm gonna be completely
they're
honest.
Down there, so.
I'm gonna be Brownstown. We call it Brownstown. Fayette County Speedway for me is the hardest place to see anything. I don't see the lights. I don't see the flagmen. Every other lap, I'd say I would see a light. I'm more watching the cars in front of me, to be honest with you, because they slam on their brakes or they're slowing down. I know something's up. I need to slow down.
Yeah, the flagman's on the infield, so he's hard to see. But the leaders were coming. We knew you were towards the back, and you were some really good cars. Fager and Rice and all them guys running up front. They were putting on a clinic.
Well, I'm gonna be completely honest. When they went around me, I was like, "Holy crap, I'm slow."
They were putting on a clinic. Josh Rice and Fager. They were beating that wall down like it was no tomorrow. But I don't know. You held your own. You did slide up, and it was a race. It wasn't like it was intentional. It just, you were trying to hold your line and go, and they gave you a little poke in the rear, but it wasn't anything that upset the car or spun you out. It just they poked the right rear fender a little bit.
I felt it, but I didn't even know who it was that I slid into, and they didn't flip me off, so it had to be okay.
No, I don't. Them boys know that racing's racing.
I think they realized I had my hands. I'm not gonna say I had my hands full, but my hands were full. I'm still learning the whole driving portion, but I felt we made a huge step last night. My hands went from going left to right 1,000,000 times. I felt like so now it's only a couple thousand times.
Yeah, it definitely looked a lot better. The car, I could tell, was very upsettable on the bottom. There were some ruts, and if you hit them wrong, the car would jump, and it was hard to correct that. I could definitely tell that. The top side, you did a lot better up on the top.
I felt more comfortable in the middle of the track up, and I should have, when I started hitting those ruts, especially in 1 and 2 was the worst for me. If I drove in hard in 1 and 2 and hit the ruts down at the bottom near the U tires, it just, I felt like the whole front end come off the ground, and I just pushed straight to the outside of the track. And there was a couple laps, I don't know if you hear it or if we've seen the GoPro footage yet, that I'm just like flat-footing it trying to just get it to turn, and it just bouncing and going straight to that wall. So I ended up slamming on the brakes just to get it to rotate.
Well, it
The
was
rest of it.
bouncing. I can
It was
tell you
like
that.
3 and 4
We were
was
watching.
that?
We were watching.
1
it
and 2
bounce.
felt the worst for me.
1 and 2, if you were on the bottom, it was bouncing. 1 and 2, I could see it worse.
3 and 4, I just started charging too hard and overdriving it. Honestly, is what I felt like. I was pushing too hard in the center, and I think, I'll be honest, I go back and I'm trying to figure out why after that first caution I feel the tires went bad. I think I started driving different. Before I was trail braking, trying to trail brake easier and going in, where after that caution I was driving in harder and jabbing the brake. And I think that was part of the problem now that I think about it. I just gotta get.
Do you hit the brake a lot?
As a driver, I've got a lot more laps than your dad, but I've come to learn how to trail brake, and that's all going to come with time. Last night I was big. We went with your dad last night. It was big. I wanted to make sure that the car felt comfortable, because with comfort comes confidence, and the more we can make your dad's car comfortable for him, he'll drive it in harder. He'll get more comfortable. He'll know what the car's doing. My transition into a late model from modified, I was already doing most of it, so it come more natural to me. Your dad, we're still learning it. When we left last night, he was like, man, the car felt great, and the little changes we did, and it was the little changes. Like, I wanted him to realize that little changes is what fine-tunes the car, that the big swings is what I think was hurting him most of the year, to be honest. We go out for hot laps, and he went racing with me that night. He's like, "What do you want to change?" And I'm like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Leave it alone. I want to go out for a heat race. We're gonna see what it does. This is a setup we go with normal. I want to see what it does." And we went out and we run okay, and then we come back and he's like, "What do we do for the feature?" And I'm like, "Well, we're gonna change this, just this." And it's just the little things. Once you get you'll change bigger things going track to track, like Highland versus Brownstown or Peevely or Macon. I went to Macon with a setup we've run on Belleville. No. Went out for qualifying and was like, it was so tight, I couldn't turn the car. Came in and threw the kitchen sink at it. But each track's got different characteristics you gotta adjust for. But you get time and you get years and you get a notebook set up where you know what to do. And last night was one of them stepping stones. We got your dad comfortable with a setup that works at Brownstown. I think it'll work at Peevely. Higher bank, higher momentum, but the car is definitely working better. It's staying up on attitude. And
So it's gonna sound crazy as a driver. This season, I very rare got to feel the car scotched up the whole time throughout the corner. Normally, I feel I break traction.
That means tractioned up, right?
Yeah, it means it's tractioned up. Normally, I feel I break traction, I lose my rear tires. So I either skate or I spin the tires. This weekend, last night, I can truly say my all four tires, especially my left rear, and right front, I could feel the whole race. I've never felt that. Since I started, this is my 16th night, that's the first night I felt that the whole time. Not just every once in a while, the whole time. So to me, I kind of feel like we did figure out something with the setup, and I feel like personally, my driving, the way I'm driving the car, is helping with that as well.
I agree.
So what happened at qualifying?
Qualifying, I just let it over rotate a couple times and bobbled and just lost speed. And it's a confidence thing. Qualifying was wide open. I should have went in wide open. That's all there is to it.
I think they had you mixed up with the other 16.
And honestly, I agree with that, because
I think they had some timing issues, because they even had you messed up in the feature.
yeah, they had us flipping around in the feature too. You're right.
Yeah.
But qualifying, I just think that the best way to say I need to grow a pair and just drive it in there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just needed
That's
to.
trusting the car. Though.
it's trusting the
Yeah.
car, and I think we're getting closer with that. I agree with Roger. We're getting a lot closer with trusting the way the car feels and the setup. And I've told you, and I don't know if he'll watch or listen, but there was a racer that told me you gotta throw it in there and hope it sticks. I mean, that came from a mod driver, and I learned that way early. And tires is a big thing. I mean, you get good tires, you get good side bite, and I mean we've learned that. I think
Oh yeah, so that's gonna be.
changing some of the tire program that I've been hounding you on. I mean that's
That's a definite. We are gonna have to invest in some tires.
definitely. I mean, once some edges are gone, the side bite's gone.
And I do feel like I think we lost the right front too because it started pushing really bad and it just wasn't gripping like it was earlier. But like I said,
But when you
after
moved
that
up-
first caution, I started driving it in deeper and harder, hoping to pick up some more rounds. Because I passed 3 cars on that lap, and then the caution came out and they put me behind them again. So
It didn't count.
it didn't count, and it was kind of frustrating because I felt like I should have been starting in front of them anyways. But now I'm not gonna knock them. I'm just saying, scoring wise, I think they had it off.
You passed them twice, and
Yeah, then I end up passing them in the feature, and then the caution comes out, and then I end up, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's a racing thing. I'm not complaining. I'm happy. I got to make some laps. The Mars series, they scheduled to set 22. They end up starting 24 or 25.
Yeah.
So
Check
they
everybody.
didn't even make us run a B main. They just said, okay, we're just gonna let you all run. So I'm not complaining one bit. I think it was a great deal doing it. Do I think the scoring was messed up? Yeah, but I don't think that had anything to do with the Mars people. They're not the ones scoring it. So, and I'm not knocking Brownstown or Fayette County Speedwell in any way.
mistakes happen.
Things happen. I was just happy to be in the show, and I was, the results don't show for it, but for me, I'm completely thrilled with the way the night went.
Did you feel the car when you were less shaky a lot better? Like, could you?
So
control it
the way
better?
it was tractioned up, when the car is tractioned up, you have better control of it, in my opinion. I mean, it's just one of those deals. You can run it hard, and you can zigzag in and out because you got control of the car. It's tractioned up. It's able to move. When you're like I am, what have been earlier this year, the car's just like skating. You're like on ice skates out there. You're trying to guide it into a place, hoping it's going to get there. But when it's tractioned up, you turn it, it turns. It's a totally different deal. It's a totally different feel.
It's your booty.
Yeah,
If your booty's under you, or your booty's out from under you.
yeah. That's the best way to look at it. I mean,
I've
I
been
felt
there.
like the car was a lot straighter this week. It actually rotated and it stayed straighter. It wasn't hanging all the way out. Now, there was a couple times, especially during
There were definitely a couple times I saw that you either got on the gas early or got a little excited on throttle control, and the car off the corner I could see it
Yeah,
skate,
off
and I was like,
four.
"Ooh, come
Four.
on!"
so
I was watching him off a 2, so if you were watching him off a
Four
4,
is both
four.
my
I was
favorite.
worse off four.
So 4's tricky because Brownstown's kind of tricky that when you come off a 2, you're on a natural wall and straightaway and down into 3. But when you come off a 4, you're coming off where the grandstand's another 50 feet away. There's no wall.
There's another.
down the
Yeah,
front
there's
stretch.
another 4 lanes
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean-
road.
It's a road. I mean, it is. It's different. So when you come off, if you skate off the corner too much, you don't hit a wall. You just hit a flat part of the racetrack that's not
Well,
prepped.
that
What happened to
wasn't the
number
problem.
11?
The problem was
Who's that?
I'd try to get the car straight, and then I'd get on the gas, and it would just break them free right there.
And it only looked like it was braking left, like it overturned left.
That's because I'm spinning the tires,
Yeah,
and
tires. Car does a solo cup, and
the way we have it set up is it's throttle free is what I call it. So when you're on the gas, it wants to rotate the car, and that's what was happening. So my deal is, like I said last week, I need to break my right foot for that time and back it off and keep that traction underneath it. But
you're getting very.
But as
you ran a lot better. Like you said, the car would rotate in. You get the car set, and the car would rotate around where you weren't, lock the wheels
I didn't have to slam on the brakes this week to turn the car. All I had to do was drive it in there, and I could use. And when I stay on the throttle, even though if it's half or quarter or even 3/4 throttle, I'd get it, the car rotate, then I just give it a little more gas, and then finish rotating, and we drive off. You know, I love that feeling. That was the best feeling I've had.
When in doubt, throttle out.
Now the feature, we started off that way, and the car felt really good. And I don't know, I still think that not mentally, I'm going back thinking I changed the way I was entering and everything. And it made the car bad, you know, and that was.
Well, I think
it's
the bottom
me.
wore out. I honestly think the bottom wore out.
I did feel better at the top. I'm not gonna lie, but
the bottom started rutting out.
Yeah.
The cars or the track, I should say, stayed
good.
very hooked up all night. I mean, it didn't shine up. It didn't get dry. The track they put a really good time into prepping it. It had a lot of traction. The bottom it started peeling off, and there was ruts, and I could watch it. I was standing in 3, and when you'd go into 1 and 2, I mean, it would jump and it would pull the left rear off, and I was like, ugh. Like, I know that feeling as a driver. When it jumps like that, it almost jerked a wheel out of your hand, and it upsets the car. You hit the brake, you let off the gas. I mean, these cars are anymore, the way we got them set up, very, very touchy. Like, you got to keep them up on the bars. You want to keep them at attitude. You want to keep them pinned over. They're made. I mean, we're talking a tenth of a second. Can you talk a tenth or 2 a second? I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but you racked that over 40 laps. Was it last night?
Yeah.
It
Well,
don't take long.
I could tell you 2 bad laps. 2 bad laps put me from, you know, being in the back, you know, with all the cars to a half a lap down.
Yep.
2 bad laps in 1 and 2. And like a dummy, I should have been like, okay, that going through that section of 1 is bad. I should have just moved right up. But it's like, all right, let me force my way through it this time, because I was faster at the beginning of the track down there, at the beginning of the race.
At the beginning, I had told you to, that first caution come out, and you looked really good on the bottom. And I was like, get down. Like, you really looked good on the bottom.
So I got to tell you this, because I'm in the car. I was confused as all get out. You're pointing straight down at you. All right, you're pointing over the wall, pointing down.
Yeah.
However, the cushion is directly below you. So I'm going, is he wanting me on the cushion or does he want me down? So as I'm going by, I'm going like this, trying to figure out what you're meaning.
So I had to work on signals before.
Well, maybe
I
don't
forgot
stick
my
your,
sticks.
maybe don't
Sticks are
stick
in
your
my
hand
favor.
out of the fence and point down at the cushion. I was confused as heck. I'm like, do I go up or down?
So next time I'll moon you.
What's
And
that supposed to
that'll
mean?
mean bottom.
Bottom.
If I stick my butt out, that means bottom.
I was just like, I don't understand.
No, now that makes sense, because I saw you looking at me like, what?
You literally had your hand. I mean, the
I
cushion
did.
was directly below you, and I'm
I
like,
did. I had my finger out the fence, going like, down, get down.
I didn't know if you were pointing at the cushion, like right here.
No, because when we talked about it before you went out, I was like, man, the cushion's building, but it's gnarly. Like, don't jump it, because
So 1 and 2, I could roll in right there on it or right below it, and it felt awesome when I was up there. 3 and 4, it felt dangerous. I mean, to me, it felt like if you didn't hit it just right, it'd suck you in and you were done.
yeah, that's kind of the way the car. I mean, we saw one car that it definitely ate it.
Later in the night, the modified had it happen.
So
They go to turn in, and it just hits his right rear and sucks him up, and he's actually driving on the wall sideways now, and he just flips.
What happened to the leader in the late model race?
So
I thought he blew his tire.
No, out of turn 4.
Because he drove the wall.
Oh.
No, it was out of turn 4. You know how when the wall ends, you
Yeah.
have the pile of dirt. He ran over that, and I guess like the divot or whatever, it just.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I pulled up behind him. His tire was shredded.
So, yeah, he must have
He
hit
rode the wall from about
Oh.
the middle of 3 until that divot that Roger's talking
That's why
about,
it
and
was-
then he fell off.
I got you.
Because I watched him, he was still sideways by the time he was getting out. Then he slid down and just.
But
it was a shitty racing deal. I hated to see it for
him.
Rice.
I will tell you,
he wasn't putting on a school. He was putting on a clinic. I mean, he was gone.
Well,
and
he went around me, and I got to follow him into 1 and 2. And I wish So for me, when he went around me, I was like, okay. Then 2 more, or somebody else ended up getting around me. But when I followed him into 1 and 2, and I seen how he was getting on it. I felt really good doing his line, and I felt like I was somewhat keeping up with him. Now, I was out horsepower. They were pulling for me no matter what. But I felt like the car stayed pretty consistent with him. He was slowly pulling off. But when that third car got around me, the next lap, the third place car, I was like, you know what? If they're running up here, I don't need to be blocking them. So that's why I shot back down. And I think that's when I got the bumper from somebody. I don't know who it was.
It wasn't a leader. It was number 15 who the car got winded on.
Oh no, Fager gave him the bumper off of 2.
Yeah, Fager bumped me once.
25?
Yeah, Fager gave him the bumper.
So
We can edit that out, but Fager gave him the bumper off of.
Yes.
That was later in the race. That was
off
like
of 2.
that was right before you pulled off. That wasn't from.
No, it was. I was watching it. Damn it.
yeah,
why did I-
It
It was-
off of 2.
it
It was
was-
off of 2 on the back.
it was
straight.
off of 2.
Your
I can tell you right.
Your
right
dad
where it
hit
was.
the bump and he shot up, and Fager was on the high side. Your dad was trying to hold it down, and that's why I said it was just a racing deal. Like, your dad was trying to roll the middle, and he hit a bump, and it jumped him, and it jumped up in Fager, and Fager shot him in the rear, and then dove underneath of him and threw a slider on him and passed him, and I was like, whew, that could have been way worse.
I didn't take nothing personal of it, and I hope he didn't take nothing personal of it either, because it was just one of
I
those
don't-
deals that my
yeah.
car just,
No one.
these guys are so good, they got to know that somebody like me, newer, is struggling and trying to figure it out, and for the most part, we've had great guys now. Evidently in the heat race, we had something else happen, but you know what? I just let that go as well. That's those experienced guys getting a little frustrated. Maybe he was trying to win the race and didn't realize the race was over when he hit me, but still, I don't care. It is what it is. I keep telling everybody, and I want you to understand too, right now, we're the slow car. They're going to be frustrated with us. They're going to try to move us, do things. At some point, I'm hoping we're just as fast, and then we're battling, and things come back around,
And we're,
I don't think...
I know in a 10 lap heat it sounds bad, but when you're 2/10 of a second slower, I mean, don't take long to clock that off.
No.
And
Even at 10th fast.
And those guys...
you make one mistake and it cost you just a
quarter
half a
lap,
second.
Yeah.
Just a
That's
half a second. Just a
half a lap.
bobble in a corner. A half a second. You're talking they've gained a straightaway on you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why when you came back after the heat, I was like, man, get out of your head. Like, you got to get back in the mentality of driving this thing. And I wanted to put my helmet on your car. Like, it was in the back of the truck. I was like, oh, I fucking Tony right now. Just getting fired up. But you...
The women are getting smoked out right now from the fire.
Smoke follows beauty.
That's what she said earlier.
And then Darlene walks out, see?
But
That's
no,
nice. She says not.
it was a good night. I was super happy with.
Damn.
I mean, it took a little bit of talking to you to
Well,
convince you that, and video showing you like your hand control was great.
well, that's the problem. Like we talked before, I'm very competitive and high expectations of myself. And when I come out and they say I'm dead last in qualifying, I'm going. No offense, I watched one of the cars go out 3 in front of me that he wasn't even turning the car. He almost wiped it every time. That was
Yeah.
slower than him. I was floored, so I knew I had to be pretty bad at that point. But I think they still have my scoring messed up.
I think they had your scoring messed up. I think they had a few troubles last night.
But that's all right. We're happy. I'm happy. I learned a lot. I think we got a good Peevely set up, which is our main track we go to. Our second main track between that and Highland.
Don't knock out the paperclip.
Yeah, I suck at the paperclip.
I tell you what, we're gonna figure your car
So
out. with
what is
paperclip.
so different from the paperclip than
Highland?
paperclip?
Okay, so I call it a paperclip because Highland is
It is a
very,
paperclip. Yo, once you leave, then walk
Highland,
away.
Highland
Or move the
is-
other side.
Highland is set up like a paperclip. It is very tight corners and longer straightaways. I won't say they're long, but they are longer. Brownstown or Fayette County, like we were at last night, it's like a donut. I call it a donut because you keep your momentum. You're never really off the gas. Peevely
It's another momentum track. It's higher
is
banks.
not much bigger than Highland. I think Highland's a quarter. Yeah, Highland's a quarter. Peevely's a third. Don't quote me on that, but it's banked. I mean, and it's wider. I mean, it's 4. You could run 4 wide if you had some cojones, but
So
Tri-City, you go to Tri-City, it's a whole other animal. It's even bigger.
See, I feel like for me, you can put Highland in the center of Brownstown. You put Brownstown in the center of Peevely. You put Peevely in the center of Tri-City is how I feel about it. Yes, they sound a lot like they're real close in size, and they are, technically.
Alice.
I gotta love the puffs. It's all good. But the corners are wider and narrower at some tracks. Highland's got narrower corners. It's a tight turn, paperclip. Brownstown, you can put 3-4 cars in the corner and still be okay.
Yeah.
Highland's just really hard to pass.
Highland's just a tricky track. You really gotta wheel it different.
We love it, but
we love Highland.
It's definitely it's no different than Belleville. Belleville, we never get to run at Belleville. I mean, Belleville's a postage stamp. I mean, it's tiny.
Yeah.
And it's
higher banked and
it's higher banked. And you can get 3 in there for sure.
Yeah, I've seen it. It don't normally end well for somebody, but you can do it.
I feel like all 3 of us can lay out and do the length of, like the width of.
I've raced Belleville on 4-wheelers in my younger years, and it is an awesome track when you flat track 4-wheelers on it. And I've raced it in race cars, full size, and wondered how we did it.
Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if it worked. So, see ya.